Hello to everyone. Today I want to share one of my experiences with you. I invited my neighbor over for breakfast. He really liked the Turkish breakfast. During breakfast, he told me about the last book he had read. He also asked me if I had read anything lately. I told him that I mostly read religious books. He said, I have nothing to do with religion, but you can tell me something if you want. I don't know what to tell you, I said. For example, tell me what motivates you to believe in God, he said. Why do you believe in God, he said. I told him my mom passed away many years ago. I loved her very much. I wish I could meet her again, hug her, and be with her. I thought it was impossible. But then I meet God. He told me through the Quran that nothing is impossible. He told me through the Quran, I can bring you together with your mom at the afterlife. I can bring you together not only with your mom, but with all your deceased loved ones, and you will never be separated again. What do I need to do to make this meeting happen? I asked. He told me through the Quran, you must believe in me, love me, fear me, follow my orders, and stay away from my prohibitions as much as you can. I agreed to this, I said. I will try not to break it, I promised. He told me through the Quran, my promise is true. I am not one of those who break their promise. And then I examined his orders and prohibitions. I saw that all these orders and prohibitions were for my benefit, while its commandments called me be truthful, merciful, and just. His prohibitions protected me from cruelty and violating the rights of others. These were all things that my mind, conscience, and heart accepted, but I had difficulty doing. The agreement I made with God became my source of motivation. Now I can do these things without difficulty. He asked, how can you be so sure that there is another life that no one has seen? I responded, as you know, that we know everything in the world through one of our five sense organs. We recognize the hardness of something by touching it, its smell with our nose, its taste with our tongue, its shape with our eyes, and its sound with our ears. The task of one cannot be done by the other. For example, you cannot understand something by tasting its sound or smelling its taste. Each sense has its own area of use. For example, the taste of the soup can be understood through the tongue. You can determine if the soup is salty or unsalted by sticking your finger in it. Let's say your friend offered you a glass of tea. After tasting the tea, you say there is sugar in this tea. The sugar melted in the tea and became invisible to the eye. But even though you can see the sugar in the tea, you accept the tea is sweet. Why? Because understanding the taste of tea is the duty of tongue, not the eyes. Because you don't give the task of the tongue to the eyes. You can see the viruses that make people sick, but you believe in their existence. Why? Because the existence of viruses is understood by the mind, not by the eyes. You can see electric current inside the cable, but it is there. You can't smell the smell that the dog smells, but there is that smell. Isn't the person who says, I don't see God or angels, so they don't exist, putting the duty of the mind on the eyes? We can understand the existence of beings that we cannot pursue with our five senses, with our mind. Belief means accepting the existence of beings that our five senses cannot pursue. We cannot prove the existence of God, the existence of angels, heaven, and hell with our five senses, but we believe in their existence. What you are talking about is not contrary to logic, he said. Do all believers believe with such a logic? Not everyone, I said. Many people believe without any logic, but it is better to believe by researching. God wants us to believe Him, but God doesn't want us to believe Him blindly. God wants us to think about the messages. He wants us to base our belief on evidence. In the verse of the Quran, the Almighty declares, "Say to them, O Messenger, this is my way. I call to God not blindly. I call to God by appearing to their minds on clear evidence and with sure knowledge." Since God knows that people will not seek the truth using their minds, He warns people in the Quran, why don't you use your minds? Why don't you still think and learn a lesson? Will not you understand? Think about someone who has eyes, but he doesn't want to open his eyes. He doesn't want to look and see, but he says, is there anyone who can explain colors to me? What does green look like? How is it different from yellow? How will you explain colors to someone who keeps his eyes closed all the times? Similarly, it is almost impossible to explain something to a person who does not use their mind and who has dedicated their mind to their prejudices. My neighbor told me that in the past, people could not explain natural events and said that God created everything. But now science explains everything. We know that the world was formed from a large cloud of gas and the remnants of dead stars. I agreed with him and asked how these clouds of gas and star remains came together. They came together spontaneously over a long period of time, he explained. I think it's impossible for them come together spontaneously, I replied. Why do you think it's impossible, he asked. Let me illustrate with an example, I said. Think the house we are currently sitting in. How did it come into existence? I will provide you with three different options, and I would like you to choose the one that makes the most sense to you. The first option. Imagine a powerful storm occurring. The storm, it has no wheels, no intellect, no rationality, no knowledge. And this storm gathering all the parts of the house, such as doors, windows, roofs, and others from different countries. The storm then miraculously placed them all in their correct positions, and the house was spontaneously constructed by the storm's actions. Does this seem reasonable for you? No, it's not reasonable, he said. Second option, consider that the parts of the house, doors, windows, roofs, and others, were intelligent beings and were somehow aware of each other's existence. Then established communication between themselves, made an agreement, and decided came together on their own to form the house. And they built this house by mutual agreement. Do you find this scenario believable? Not, it's not believable, he said. The third option, imagine a skilled architect and constructor who well understands construction. This expert first created a detailed project for the house. He then gathered all the necessary materials and systematically built the house according to the plan. He erected the walls, placed the windows, doors, and roof in their proper places, and completed the construction in an organized manner. Does this explanation seem reasonable to you? Yes, it's reasonable, he said. I continued. Isaac Newton had a nice saying, and he is accepted as the father of science. He said, a creator can be found with his creations. Bediüzzaman Said Nursi, an important scholar of recent times, says, a finely fashioned work of art necessitates the artist. With the same logic, let's infer. For example, humans have both physical eye and mind's eye. What's mind's eye? When the physical eye examines without the mind, it uses vision. But the mind, it uses what the physical eye sees and decides. Suppose you enter a workshop and there is the Mona Lisa painting. It is in front of you and there is no one else around. Your eye interprets as nobody's here, so this appeared on its own. You see that there is paint on the walls, the same as the paint on the painting. My eye tells me that there maybe have been a wind that spread the paint around and the painting just appeared. It will be illogical, right? What does your mind say? Who created this painting? Exactly. If there is a painting with such final detail, if there is an order, then there must be wisdom. Then there must be someone with wisdom. I continue to say, explain to existence of something does not mean that it emerged spontaneously. For example, I don't know the working mechanism of my cell phone, but I believe that this cell phone did not emerge spontaneously, but was invented by a master. Your explanation in detail how the fine mechanism inside this cell phone works is not evidence that there was no one who invented the cell phone. This information is evidence the greatness of the knowledge of the one who invented the cell phone. The progress of science does not deny the creator. It shows the greatness of the creator. Let me tell you the story of Lomonosov. Mikhail Lomonosov was a famous Russian physicist and religious person who lived in 300 years ago. He had a friend who did not believe in the existence of creator. He claimed that universe formed spontaneously by itself. One day, Lomonosov made a model of the solar system. In the middle was the sun and planets moving around it. His friend came to visit him. He showed this moving model to his friend. His friend liked it very much and asked, who made this? Lomonosov said, nobody did it. It formed spontaneously. His friend said, I don't believe that this model formed spontaneously. This model was made by someone who knows the solar system. Lomonosov asked him, you don't believe that this small model formed spontaneously, but how do you believe that the universe formed spontaneously without a creator? My guest said, you have shown a very different perspective. I have never looked at religious issues from this perspective. I have gained useful information. Thank you very much, he said. I changed the subject so that my guest could also tell something.